Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mack Worley III.
Hey guys, welcome to On the Move with Mack Worley. And you're right, I am not Mack Worley, I am Kris Cruz. And I'm going to be your host for the next 2 hours. And if I feel like I have enough topics, I would extend that to a third hour. Once again, Mac is not here, but you have Kris Cruz. Don't worry, I'm going to give you hard-hitting news that just have come up in the last couple hours. And we're going to start off pretty soon. So today, it's been a while since I've been with you guys, and you guys might not even remember me. I actually do a podcast show, weekly podcast show on Spreaker and on SoundCloud as well. And if you visit me at RC_KRIS via the Twitter, you'll be able to see my face and know who I am. A little intro about me. I am Kris Cruz. I'll be your host for the next 2 hours. And if we go over time, we'll go on the third hour with ourselves here on Spreaker.com. And you guys are listening via the 405 Media. Thank you so much for listening. So a little bit about me. I'm a political commentator. I'm a breaking news writer as well. I am in Orlando, Florida. So you are listening here from Orlando, Florida. I do write for different news outlets. I do a couple writing for Red Millennial, The Audacity, and whoever needs an op-ed, I will do that as well. I'm a veteran just like Mac is. We actually did the same job. Actually, he did the police work, and I did the police work with a dog for 6 years. Actually, I just hit my 8-year mark. I've been out for the last 2 due to budget cuts, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because I want to talk about the debt and how is that going to affect us in the future. Now, one thing here too is that I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to bring you some special features that I'll be doing actually in my show starting tomorrow. So your guys, the Mac Pack audience, is going to get an insight, actually exclusive, of one of the interviews I'm going to be playing starting tomorrow. And I'm so excited to be sharing it with you guys because I want your opinion on what is happening. And I want your opinion, especially when it comes to the interviews that I'm doing, because it's going to be a 7 to 8 days. So it's going to start tomorrow and it's going to end on November 8th. And I'm going to bring in people like Jason Pye, which he's the comms director for FreedomWorks. I'm actually going to be talking to Brett Smith. He's one of the guys that actually created Clinton Cash, the graphic novel version. So if you read Clinton Cash, I suggest you go and Google Clinton Cash, the graphic novel. It is fascinating, especially for kids. Then I'm going to talk to Benji Baker. Or Backer, one of those two. I don't know how to say his last name. I always get it confused. He's a really interesting gentleman. He's an 18-year-old conservative. And this is all going to happen starting tomorrow. Every single day, I'm going to bring in one interview on my website at Kris Cruz blog. That is KrisCruz blog.com. It's all going to be right there for you guys. And I just can't wait to be sharing it with you guys, because it's something that I've been working on for the last 2 weeks. I've been working with all these people, trying to get them on the show, not only to bring in a perspective of their perspective, but trying to show you of a way of how can we be informed when it comes to Election Day, which is going to be in November 8th. And I want you guys to, I want to share with you guys, because as you guys know, and probably Mac also talks about this just as I do, is we like the informed voter. You need to be an informed voter. It doesn't matter who you're voting for. I really don't care really who you're voting for, as long as you're informed and you're able to stand on your feet when it comes to the talking issues. So we're going to talk about guns, for example, and you support Hillary Clinton. I want you to tell me, why is it that you support Hillary Clinton and her stand on guns, in your opinion? Don't give me bullet points that she gives, because that's kind of like you just spitting out what she's telling you. I want more of like, this is how I came up to this conclusion. Just like when I challenge myself, when I talk to Mac, we talk about abortion, and when we talk about legalizing marijuana, I give him what I think is my perspective from doing the research and from what I understand, just like he gives me his perspective. And that is the way that we need to be talking to each other, because it's really interesting to hear different people and different perspective. So I'll be bringing all that, man, starting tomorrow. And I just can't wait. I'm going to actually give you guys a full episode of what's going to be happening next week. And it's going to be amazing, guys. Thank you for tuning in, especially today, and big shout out to Mac, because he once again trusted me with his audience, and you guys have been really, really helpful. Now, in about, I think it was an hour ago, numerous media outlets reports that the FBI has received the warrant it needed to review the newly discovered emails pertaining the investigation on Hillary Clinton. Now, as we all know, over the weekend, actually Friday afternoon, and this is why I think I have one of my, I think this was a Friday dump again, but on Friday, we learned that FBI Director Comey, he sent a letter to Congress saying that we might need to open the case one more time because we found new evidence. Now, I was talking to a couple radio hosts, and I was talking to Benji at that time, recording the episode that he's going to air next week on November 3rd, actually in a couple of days, November 3rd. And we were wondering, because at that point, we were 11 days from casting our votes. About 12.4 million American citizens have voted already, 12.2 million. And they dumped that on Friday saying, hey, we're going to have to reopen this case because we found something. Now, this is actually, for me, it's like the icing on top of the cake, because the reason that they are going to reopen, or they suggest to reopen the case, was because the FBI was examining this evidence in connection to a sexting scandal for Aberdeen Strange husband, Anthony Weiner. Once again, Anthony's Weiner gets in trouble, actually gets the Clinton in trouble, because, at that time he was connected to Huma, and Huma and them decided to split after he sent a picture of him laying in bed, and his son, or his child, was sitting right next to him sleeping, and he's in his underwears. So he was sexting while his child was just laying down next to him sleeping. So it's really interesting that once again Anthony Weiner is able to cause a problem for the Clinton and the Clinton family. I'll call them a family, a dynasty, because they're way too big. Now, this letter came on Friday because Weiner's laptop computer was only being searched for evidence that he sent to an underage girl. Now that they found that evidence, that so-called evidence, newly discovered emails that seem important in the Hillary Clinton, they had to get a warrant for those emails. So what they did is they got the warrant, and now they're going to look through approximately 650,000 emails that might be connected to Clinton's action as Secretary of State. Guys, this is big. If this is really what they actually are saying, that it could cost something, this is real big. And a lot of people have been questioning Director Comey's action for this. Now, we see now that Hillary Clinton has said, at first they were on the plane when they found this out. She was on the plane en route, I think it was to Ohio, one of those key states, that battleground states that they were going to. Don't quote me on Ohio part, but they were on the plane. They did not know. As soon as the plane landed, all the reporters got the news feed, and so did the Clinton aides and workers, and they huddled up, and they were like, well, they wouldn't know what they said, but they huddled up. And then once Clinton came out of the plane, it was funny because one of the reporters was like, Miss Clinton, do you have any questions, any answers for the reopening of your case? And come to find out, they did not know because they were on the plane. So this should be really interesting, because after revising Clinton, after she revised the information and read the letter by Comey, she actually urges that people continue voting early despite the FBI reopening the case against her. Now, you guys, I want you guys' opinion, because this is really interesting, because we might have if Hillary Clinton wins, and this is what I said to one of my friends over the weekend, is if Hillary Clinton wins, and there's actually evidence that could say incriminate her that she did something wrong. Now, we all know she did something wrong, but that actually like hardcore evidence that says she did something wrong. Imagine that. That's going to be and if she gets elected, it's going to be like a sitting president is going to be in trouble. That's just fascinating. Like, she will be in investigation by the FBI for actually saying, for actually doing something bad. It's really interesting because as soon as this dropped, Speaker Ryan came out flat out. He just came out and says, we need to stop all intelligence briefings to Clinton. I agree on that. We've seen that she mishandles classified information. As we know, she did not know what the C meant. So it's really interesting to see something that Clinton did not know what it was. And I actually agree with P. Ryan. That's his Twitter handle, @PRyan. I actually agree with Speaker Ryan, because she doesn't need to be receiving any intel information if she doesn't know how to handle that information. So it's really interesting to see that. But let's continue on this one of her speeches that she did. Actually, no, a press conference that she did about her emails. She still tells the people to continue voting. Like I said at the beginning, 12.4 million people have already voted. That is a lot of votes. That's one of the reasons I don't agree with early voting. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen the day before. The day before, something can happen to those candidates. We don't know what's going to happen. So early voting for me is something that I don't agree. But Clinton got asked by a reporter, you have 11 days to go. What would you say to a voter right now that is seeing you and hearing that you are what you're saying? Saying, I didn't trust her before. I don't trust her anymore now. And they're heading to the ballot tomorrow. That is a really interesting question. That is the question that a lot of people, if they're watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, if they're watching the main networks and they're looking at the news, for example, they're looking at a Wolf. I'll take him because that's one of the names that just came out of my head. If they're looking at Wolf and saying, oh my God, Clinton's being reopened again, and you're one of those undecided voters, you're going to question yourself. You're going to wait, should I vote for this person? And if it's really serious that the FBI, is looking into her one more time, so should I vote for her or should I vote for somebody else? So that's one of the things that, as a voter, especially those people that are undecided, they need to kind of start questioning themselves and say, am I going to vote for her? So Clinton responded, a long time ago, they made up their minds about the emails. She urges everybody to get out and vote early. It's really interesting that she tells them to get out and vote early. She's not telling them to get out and vote. She's telling them to get out and vote early. This is really interesting because, in my opinion, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or nothing like that. But I like to study when people are saying words. Especially, because these are speech writers that are saying and writing these words for her. So one of her quotes says, everybody should get out and vote early. We learned that early voting helps the Democrats. That is something that they're good at. They're good at getting those people and getting them to early vote. So that's one of the big things that Clinton could help her do, is that the early voting can make her actually win. So it's really interesting to see her say that. But I have a little clip right here. We're going to talk about Hillary Clinton. And I want you guys to listen to her talk about the news conference. It's a little bit long. It's about 3 minutes, but I want you guys to hear her words and just start listening to her the way that she's saying it, and we're gonna digest this together. So here is Hillary Clinton talking about people should keep voting early, even though the FBI has said to reopen her case.
A few words and then take your questions. I have now seen Director Comey's letter to Congress. We are 11 days out from perhaps the important national election of our lifetimes. Voting is already underway in our country. So the American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately. The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July. Therefore, it's imperative that the Bureau explain this issue in question, whatever it is, without any delay. So I look forward to moving forward to focus on the important challenges facing the American people, winning on November 8th, and working with all Americans to build a better future for our country. Thank you.
Start with you right here. Have you or any of your advisors heard from Comey or anyone else at the FBI today? And are you concerned at all that these new emails that they say they've found will in any way reveal classified information that you sent or received?
No, we have not been contacted by anyone. First we knew about it is, I assume, when you knew about it, when this letter sent to Republican members of the House was released. So we don't know the facts, which is why we are calling on the FBI to release all the information that it has. Even Director Comey noted that this new information may not be significant, so let's get it out.
Secretary Clinton. You have 11 days to go. What would you say to a voter who right now will be seeing you and hearing what you're saying, I didn't trust her before, I don't trust her anymore right now, and they're heading to the ballot box tomorrow?
You know, I think people a long time ago made up their minds about the emails. That's factored into what people think, and now they're choosing a president. So I would urge everybody to get out and vote early in all the states that have early voting, because I think Americans want a president who can lead our country, who can get the economy working for everyone, not just those at the top, and who can bring our country together.
That is really interesting. What the way that she said, like, again, guys, if you're listening to the way that she's talking about this situation, this is a really serious situation. She tries to downplay it a little bit by saying that Director Comey said, you know, this might not pertain to this investigation. It might not even be anything against her situation, but at the same time she's downplaying it like it's nothing serious, and that is something that we need to take serious. We need to make sure that those people that we elect, they are saying something better, that they are actually held to the better standards. So that's something that we need to start doing. And if you guys have any opinion about this, I want to hear from you. You could contact me via Twitter at RC_KRIS, and the phone lines are wide open. They are, you can call me at 360-5, sorry, is a brand new number. Sorry guys, for me, it's at 360-450-5625. You can call me at that number, and I want to hear your opinion on, should we start listening to the words that are being said out of these candidates, because that is what actually matters. Listening to them talk about the emails, listening to Trump talk about the way that he speaks to others and calls them crooked and calls them liars. Do we need to start paying attention to the way that they're saying that, or am I just overthinking it? So make sure you call me at 360-450-5625. I want to hear from you guys, because you guys are actually going to help me out with this, because I might be overthinking this. I seriously might be just overthinking this, because the way that she's talking, she's just downplaying it. Now we know that it's Hillary Clinton, and she's going to downplay anything because she's like a chameleon. You know, If you're black, she likes hot sauce. If you're Mexican, she loves Mexican food. You know, so this is who she is. And you're from the South, she'll talk to you with a Southern accent. So this is who Hillary Clinton is. She's a chameleon. She's a political chameleon. So that's one of the things that when I listen to her talk, actually, and this is not about Hillary Clinton, when I listen to anybody talk, I listen to what they're saying, because that's actually like, it's actually coming out of their mouth. Yes, it might not write what they wrote, what they're reading, but it actually reflects their campaign. So it's really interesting the way that she talks about this. Let's see how she answers this other question, because I just want you guys to listen the way that she's answering and the words that she's using.
Offer that, I can do that, and I'm very confident that the American people know that. And we're going to continue to discuss what's at stake in this election, because I believe that it's one of the most consequential elections ever.
Secretary Clinton. Thanks very much. Secretary Clinton, there are some reports that these emails were found on devices that belong to your aide, Huma Abedin, and her husband, Anthony Weiner. Have you spoken to Huma? Was she able to give you any information about that?
You know, we've heard these rumors. We don't know what to believe, and I'm sure there will be even more rumors. That's why it is incumbent upon the FBI to tell us what they're talking about, Jeff.
Now, here's the thing. Now, I got to give her some credit. I mean, not some credit. I got to give her an excuse here, because at the time that this was filmed and was recorded and she held the press conference, it wasn't kind of confirmed that Anthony Weiner was the cause of reopening this case. Now, like I said at the top of the show, you know, the reason that they're reopening the case is because while the FBI was conducting a search of Anthony Weiner's sexting scandal with an underage girl, they found evidence on his laptop pertaining to this reopening of the case. So I'll give her a pass on that question, and that question only, because at that point, maybe she already knew, but like I did not get confirmation on it until later that day. So this is one of the things now that I will give her a pass. Now, as of 7:03 p.m., that's when the numerous media outlets came out and said that the FBI has received the proper warrant to preview and review the emails, and not just one email, guys. And like I said at the top of the hour, these were 650,000 emails that were found in Anthony Weiner's computer during a search of evidence that was pertaining of him sexting an underage girl. So this just keeps unraveling even more. And actually, we're going to take a little bit of a break, because what I have for you guys next is just fascinating. Because as I was doing some research on this, because, you know, this is actually what I'm going to be talking about in my next podcast. So it was really interesting because, again, you guys are hearing the fresh content I'll be recording for my podcast. And you can visit that at chriscruzblog.com, KRISCRUZ blog.com. And as I was doing research to prepare for this new week and writing some content, writing some good segments, it was really interesting because I came to with a headline that says Joe Biden, and he says this: I could have beaten Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination. This is fascinating. This is just fascinating. Again, it's coming out of at this point it was 11 days to the election, and Joe Biden says this. It's just fascinating. I have the audio, and I'm going to play that audio for you guys as soon as we come back after this break.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mack Worley III.
And like I said, guys, Mack Worley is a little bit under the weather. So this is Cruz coming live from Orlando, Florida. That's right, Cruz coming live from Orlando, Florida. Thank you for coming back. We went on a little break a little bit early was because I want to get you guys ready for what I'm going to be actually having you guys listen again, because what I'm going to have you guys to listen is Joe Biden was being interviewed, and he came up with this he was being interviewed on CNN, and he just came up with this just weird on Saturday. He just came up with this weird kind of answer when he was asked about the FBI that was reopening their criminal probe into Clinton's use of her private email server while serving as a Secretary of State. And I'm going to play this right now for you guys, because it's just fascinating, because, you know, we are 9 days away from election day, you know, from the time, and maybe some of you guys already voted, you know, maybe you guys already went out and voted. So this is just fascinating that Joe Biden said this in a CNN interview yesterday.
Yes. Is this the kind of story that makes Joe Biden say, damn it, I should have run?
Michael, the only reason I didn't run had nothing. I thought I could beat Hillary. I thought I could beat anybody that ran. No one should run for president unless they think they can do that. I didn't run for one simple, overarching reason. My son was dying, and he died. That's the total reason. I mean...
That is really interesting. Again, this is Joe Biden saying that if I would have ran as the Democratic nominee, I would have beaten Hillary. And, you know, I'll pay respect of him saying, you know, the reason that he did not run for president was because of his son, Beau, dying of while this was happening, the election was happening. So, you know, I feel bad for that as a father. You know, I'm sad about that. But, you know, it's again, it goes back to what we said at the top of the hour. If you guys missed it, is I'm really critical on the way people speak, especially our leaders, the people that we elect as leader. Even if you did not vote for Joe Biden or Obama, those still are our leaders. We still need to respect them and still need to show them that that respect that you would show if he was your candidate that you voted for. So this is just fascinating because the way he's speaking about it, you know, and I get it, you know, he went out and said, of course I could beat Hillary Clinton, but it's just, why are you saying this while there's already poop in the fans? You know, poop hit the fan on Friday afternoon. Then he's hitting again on a Saturday interview saying, yeah, I could have beaten Hillary Clinton. I don't know. It's just, for me, seems a little weird for me, because even though, in my opinion, even though, let's say I was a Republican and I ran for the Republican ticket and I've lost that ticket, and no, not a loss, I didn't even run for that ticket, and you guys already picked the person that's supposed to run, I'm not going to say I could have beaten that person. So you see what I'm talking about? Because I will keep my mouth shut and say, no, I support the candidate. Even if I would have ran, you know, I'm not going to put that person in second place in this imaginary world. So you see what I mean when I talk about like people when they talk, they just need to be careful in how they talk, because it could seem like he's been a I don't know if I could say this, but he's been a D-bag. You know, like you don't say that. Let's say what else he talks about here.
I have great respect for Hillary. I have great respect for other people who've run. But you don't make a decision based on the other person. I thought that at the time I was the issues where the country's facing were right in my wheelhouse. I didn't not run because Hillary was running. I didn't run because my son's not here. Period.
If Americans go to the polls and there's an open question as to whether she's under investigation, wouldn't that mean there's an open question as to whether she faces some punishment down the road?
I guess technically, but look, I can't believe that. The answer is, I just think these things have been blown out of proportion. I think the easiest way to do it is just release the emails.
Okay. You don't want to be her Secretary of State, I'm told. This was a big issue earlier today. It came up, and
I will do anything that she wants if she's elected president to help her. But I'm not looking to be in administration. It's time for me to move on.
Your folks or your family.
That is fascinating. That last comment that he made was fascinating, because he's willing to help the administration to get elected, but he's not willing to serve under her administration. That, for me, it is fascinating. Like, you don't understand. Like, for me, words means, and like, it has meaning what he's saying. You know, he's saying, yes, you know, I don't mind this. I don't mind supporting her. But when he says he doesn't mind helping her out or helping her administration to get into office, well, you kind of contradict yourself there, Mr. Vice President, because you say you could have beaten her. Now, if you guys were as united as you guys talk about, you'd have come out of the get-go and said, no, I was not going to run, and I would have left out the whole thing of I would have beaten her if I was running. Again, it goes back to that whole thing of them, you know, using those words that they talk about and actually meaning it. Because you don't mean it. 1 second, that was 1 minute and 32 seconds. In 1 minute and 32 seconds, in my opinion, I think you just contradicted yourself. You said you're willing to help Hillary Clinton, but at the same time, Joe, you're saying I would have bitten Hillary Clinton. It's just fascinating. It just fascinates me. And as we head into the election, you guys probably heard me talk. Like I said, I've been filling in for a couple of times. I think last time I filled in was a couple months ago. And I've been actually called in one of the shows and gave my opinions about abortion. So I'm usually, you know, I listen to you guys' comments with Mac. I listen to Mac when I'm not busy. I listen to it because I love how he is the complete opposite of me in a different perspective. We respect each other's opinion, of course, and that's why we're friends, and that's why he trusts me with you guys. But one thing that I love about Mac is that when we talk, we're willing to stand in our opinions. Our opinions. We don't spit out talking points. We have analyzed, we have digested, and we have formed our own opinions. Now, I was a big Ted Cruz supporter to the point that everything that he did from Florida all the way up to the Carolinas, actually Virginia, actually all the way to Washington, D.C. I was right there with the media pass doing the coverage. I was covering from my perspective. And my perspective is that millennial generation. I am 26 years old. So I wanted to cover it from what I wanted to know. Not the way that the media wants you to know, the way I would want to digest that information. So I was a big Ted Cruz supporter, and I actually called a couple of times when I was on the road to this show to give you guys what I was seeing and what was I feeling. So, and as we head to November 8th, the date that we all vote, because I don't vote early, I believe in voting on the day, November 8th, because by then I have this full perspective of what am I going to vote for. And I want to know, who are you guys? And if you guys, you don't have to tell me who you're voting for. But if you guys know who are you voting for, I would like to know. If you know who you're voting for, go right ahead and tell me, hey, Chris, I know who I'm voting for. You don't have to tell me who, but I want to know, like, if you already know and you formed out this big plan of why am I voting, or who am I voting for? Because I have my bed. It's a queen bed. I have a little mini studio apartment, and everything is right in, like, is everything right in my room. And when I was doing my research, I wish I could show you guys. Actually, I'll take a picture for the next hour, and I'll put it on my social media at RC_KRIS on the Twitter. I'll put that out there, and I want you guys to see all my research that I've done. I printed out so many papers. I printed out papers on both candidates, papers on all the down ballot candidates. I've done writings about it. My university actually saw me and said, hey, can you write a kind of an op-ed about the down ticket? Because everybody focused on the top, who's going to be president and who's going to be vice president. But we forget about the down ticket. The down ticket is the important part as citizens, because those are the people that actually are representing us. Those senators, those congressmen, those people are the House representatives. Those are our people. Those are the people that are there, that will be there blocking if we get a bad president. So those are the people that we need to start focusing on. So, like, I have all these research, and come to find out, this might be bad for my circle, but I just want to share with you guys, I'm not voting for either. I'm focusing on the down ticket. I am done voting for the lesser of two evils. And I bet Mac actually feels the same way. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he's voting for Gary Johnson, which is okay. It's completely fine. Even if you are voting for, let's say, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Gary Johnson, the communist girl, communist or socialist? I don't know what she is. Or this new guy, Evan McMullen. Even if you're voting for those people, I don't mind who you're voting for, but I just do mind it's like you have done that research and said, you know what, this is what I'm voting for. I love when a person says, hey, Chris, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. And I vote for Hillary Clinton because she stands for these principles that I believe in. And you know what? I will have so mad respect for you, because that tells me that you have said, you know what? I sat down here and said, I'm going to vote for this person, and this is why. I love when people say, I love the informed voter. I love the educated voter. Even if they disagree with me, I just love it because I know you went to your house or your apartment or your workplace or the coffee shop, and you spread out all your research, and you sat down and said, these are my principles. This is what I stand for. And, sorry about that. And this is what I stand for. And this is what I want. And it's really interesting because it's something that I love when I hear people speak. It's just fascinating. We have somebody on the line, and it just came up. And sorry guys about that, I forgot to mute it. We have somebody on the line. And hey, welcome to On The Move Show with Mack Worley. But it's Cruz. How are you?
Hi, my name is Brett Robles, and I was just listening to you talking about how you respect voters that look into the candidate.
Can you hear me?
And I just, yes,
right,
I can hear you.
One second. You probably can hear me, but I cannot hear you. So I'm going to continue talking. Just don't hang up. I got to make sure this is all correct for me. But like I said, it's really interesting because I want to know what you guys are doing, because it's just fascinating that people are willing to do something for it and are willing to just do it. That's just fascinating to me. Let's try this one more time. Hey, this is Cruz.
Hi, my name is Brett Robles. Can you hear me?
Hey, Brett. Yes, perfect. Hey, thank you for calling in, guys. And this is really interesting. I met this guy in school, and Oh, you guys don't know this. Yeah, so I'm still in college, and I go to Full Sail University here in Orlando. And I met this gentleman. He's a libertarian. And the reason I actually texted him, I was like, hey, give me a call because you have a different perspective than I do. And you already know who you're voting for. So the question on this hour is, do you know who you are voting for?
Yes, in fact, I do, and I'm voting for Gary Johnson. I was considering Evan McMullin, and however, I just can't. And it's not that the reason I'm voting for him is not because I cannot support Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, but because I do support his issues. Donald Trump says he wants to expand the military, but our military spending is the largest in the world, so I can't support that. Hillary Clinton typically wants to ban what she calls assault weapons, and both of them support NSA spying. Both of them, from what I understand, do not want to legalize marijuana. But Gary Johnson wants, to decrease military spending. He wants to balance the budget now, not spend more like Hillary or Trump, et cetera, et cetera. So I find the best candidate, at least from my perspective, is Gary Johnson. And one thing I found interesting that you mentioned earlier is you said of how many people you respect someone who will say they're voting for Hillary Clinton if they know exactly what she stands for. Because I was talking to my friend Lauren yesterday, and I figured out she was voting for Hillary Clinton. And I asked her why, and she said, because I can't support Trump. And I then asked her, what do you like about Hillary Clinton? She did not even know what the NSA was. She didn't know any of her policies, and it kind of made me cringe.
No, and you know what? It's really interesting you say that because not a lot of people are that informed voters. For example, I love Jay. Dr. J, Liberty Hoosier on Twitter, he's saying, as of right now, Kris, I have made my mind that I know I'm not voting for the two candidates. He means Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I don't know if I can vote for Johnson. Now, Brett, and I want to get this from you. Jay does not know if he's going to vote for Gary Johnson. What would you tell Jay right now, because he's listening to you, what would you tell Jay to vote? Like, well, give him a good reason why you think he should vote for Gary Johnson.
Well, the reason I believe someone should vote for Gary Johnson, and this is the reason I am, is the simple fact is experience. Some people say Hillary Clinton's experience as Secretary of State, but I'd argue her foreign policies brought us into things like Syria and Libya, et cetera. But Gary Johnson was a two-term governor of New Mexico, as many people know. But what many people don't know is he went into the state with a deficit, they were in a lot of debt. And he was a Republican candidate, and the state was very Democratic. New Mexico, very Democratic state. Not only was he elected, he was elected twice, and when he left with a surplus. But many people think, how did he do that? Did he raise taxes? No, he actually cut taxes, I believe, 14 times in his election. And the problem I view in America today is that the country's really divided. It's either I'm Democrat, I'm Republican. One thing my brother told me that I was talking to him today was that people look at political parties like football teams, like, oh, my team's not that good this year, but I'll vote for him because that's it. And they refuse to work with each other. The two parties want to basically destroy each other, and that's their only reasons of existing at this point. But since he was elected in a Democratic state as a Republican, and because he's a third party, there's not many Libertarian or third-party senators or congressmen in general. So I personally believe electing a third-party candidate such as Johnson, who has such a great record of, balancing the budget, because the second problem I believe this nation is facing is our economic issues and our military issues. He wants to basically, I feel as though he would be able to help the divide in this country because he would be able to work with a Republican or a Democratic Congress because he's a third party. He doesn't really hate the Republicans more, hate the Democrats more, and then the Democrats more. And also, we have a debt right now. He's shown in the past that he can, balance budgets. And when it comes into Syria, I believe Donald Trump's quote on Syria was, "Let's bomb the shit out of them," or "Let's make the sand glow." And Hillary once said in the past that we should look at Iraq as a business opportunity. I feel as though that constantly bombing these countries only fuel a guerrilla warfare more, because if someone was bombing America, I'd want them out and only making more people join ISIS. But his view on foreign policy is, before we just throw millions of dollars of bombs at innocent civilians, because most of these drone strikes are doing that, how about we step back and work with Russia or other countries to figure this out in a global sense, while Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, typically, Donald Trump's, when it comes to Russia, is kind of weird. He sometimes says they're great, sometimes says they're the Legion of Doom. Hillary Clinton seems to be very anti-Russia. In fact, it looks like she wants a war with them. And I feel as though Gary Johnson would be able to work with Russia to get rid of ISIS while also balancing our debt here, and maybe not all of it, but at least help towards it, along with maybe even cutting taxes along the way and just unifying this nation in the time it needs to be unified. At least that's why I'm voting for Gary Johnson.
And this is interesting because I'm going to push you a little bit. The reason I can't vote for Gary Johnson, for me, he seems, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to be a little kind of weird, but for me, he seems kind of like he's not taking this as serious as a libertarian candidate should take it. For example, Evan McMurlin, he came out and was like, you know what? I'm going to run as an independent. And look at him now. He might take Utah from Trump. And okay, that might say that because he belongs to the Mormon community, and the Mormon community is real big in Utah, and they just don't align themselves with Donald Trump. But that for me says that people are willing to listen to a third party candidate. By the time November 8th hits, Evan McMillan said that he will be in almost all the states' ballots as a writing. So the reason I just can't take Gary seriously is because the way that he speaks. I see him on TV. He came out when the whole Clinton email came out and was all going all crazy, and he was talking about, but like, I just can't take him seriously because in my perspective, I don't see him taking this as seriously as he could, because this year and the next midterm election, which should be 2018, anybody that is running third party or independent should be able to capitalize on this election. So that's one of the reasons I just don't like Mr. Gary, because he, for me, is not taking it as serious as he should be. So last question for you, because I know this is your kind of topic on the Libertarian Party. What do you think the Libertarian Party needs to do to reach our generation? Because somehow, some way, we all fit into the Libertarian Party. We all want freedom, and we all want a small government. So in your opinion, what do you think that the Libertarian Party needs to do to reach that goal?
I honestly believe, because I discovered the Libertarian Party, I believe, my freshman or sophomore year of high school. And ironically, my dad was always a Libertarian, and he'd tell me every election that he's Libertarian. I was raised in a Republican household, and I remember used to crying and yelling at my dad when it was election day, "Don't waste your vote. Don't vote for the Libertarian." So the way it hooked me was honestly, I believe, is a better social media and just media in general presence. Because the fact is, when I'm talking at school, when I was talking to you, the fact that you knew who Gary Johnson was actually astounded me, because as much as I hate to admit it, most people I know don't even know who Gary Johnson is, or doesn't even know that there is a third option, nor less multiple than third. You know what I mean? And so I feel as though the fact is the Libertarian Party, and this goes for all third party, Constitution Party, Green Party, whatever, they just need to find a way to get either A, more media coverage, or B, push themselves through social media more and get their message out there. Because from what I understand, almost all of my friends, there's a joke I usually say is, I guess I'm Gary Johnson's campaign manager for Covington, Louisiana, because that's where I'm from. Because almost every single one of my friends is voting Libertarian this year, and the only reason they're doing it is because I would talk to them, and they'd be like, yeah, I can't stand Trump, I can't stand Clinton. I'd be like, did you hear about Johnson? They're like, oh, no, I'll look into him. Then the next day they call me and say, hey, Brett, I'm voting for Johnson. And I'm like, oh, awesome. And it just makes me feel as though if more people knew about the parties themselves, they would, and the only thing that I believe the Libertarian Party should do that would make them more legitimate, like seem legitimate to media, is some of their crazy ideas. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the Libertarian conventions, but when things are issues like driver's license being mandatory shouldn't happen and switching to the gold standard are brought up, it feels as though, like, if I'm a Fox News analyst or a CNN analyst, do I want to cover the national convention that has all these senators and prestigious individuals, or do I want to cover the one with the guy with the boot on his head talking about how driver's license are an atrocity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I completely agree, and I like that boot guy. He's lots of fun. I've talked to him a couple of times. Brett, man, thank you so much for calling in and giving your opinion. And guys, like I said, your opinion is something that I really, really love, because it's something that it just makes me feel that more connected to you guys, because I want to know what you're thinking. And Jay, I completely agree. And you guys, you can submit all your thoughts via Twitter, or you can call me. I'll give you the number on the next hour. Oh, actually, no, I got it right here. You can call me at 360-450-5625 and give me your opinion. Because Jay, I completely agree. If Gary Johnson was clearly profiled, I will vote for him as well. And I'm also aware of Gary Johnson's history. It's just, for me, my perspective is that Gary Johnson is not taking it as serious as he should be. And that's the only problem I'm having, is that I need a person that is willing to take this job as seriously as I take my job. Because that's what it's all about. We are electing somebody that is going to be head of this country. And Gary Johnson, he called himself stupid or dumb or an idiot like a couple days ago. Why would I want that? Now, I know the guy on the top of the ticket, Donald Trump, he has said worse. And like I said, I'm not voting for him, and I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton, and I'm still on the fence with Gary Johnson. I want the Libertarian Party to be recognized. I want the Libertarian Party to go over that 5% for them to be recognized as a party, and put them on the map. I want them so bad, but I just feel like Gary Johnson is not taking this seriously for me. It's just I like his VP pick. He's good. But it's just Gary Johnson. It's just he's not doing it for me. And we're gonna close this hour by talking just a little bit more about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And as of 3 hours ago, that's when I printed it. I printed it out like at 7:45, and at that point it was 3 hours ago. Businessman Donald Trump has surged to within 1 point of Democratic presidential nominee, according to the ABC News / Washington Post tracking poll. The survey was released on Sunday, today, found that a four-way race, Clinton leads Trump by just a single point to 46-45. Clinton on top. That is fascinating. That is just crazy. Now, in a head-to-head race, Clinton has a slightly bigger lead, 3 points, 49-46 on Clinton. But it's just fascinating, guys. You see how interesting this gets when you have another person on the mix, when you have a Gary Johnson or Jill Stein. from the Green Party. If you guys don't know who that is, you know, is Gary Johnson is receiving about 4% of the vote, and Jill Stein is receiving about 2% of the vote in a 4-way race with Clinton and Trump. And this is just fascinating. Could this be because of the emails? Because this was released today, 3 hours ago. Was released today. But however, I want to give you the full picture. However, because the poll was conducted between 25th and the 28th, it was able to sample voters that saw the FBI Director Comey announcing Friday that the Bureau was reopening their criminal probing against Clinton after potential new evidence that was discovered during the course of a separate investigation against former Congressman Anthony Weiner. This just gets better and better, you know, and it's really interesting. I was talking with my family today, and guys, that poll was 1,160 likely voters and has a margin of error of ±3. Give you the full picture here. I was talking to my family, and it goes back to the question actually Mack wrote on the chat room and Spreaker.com is, do you know who you are voting for? It's just a simple question of, do you know who you are voting for? I still don't know who I'm voting for. I'll clarify that. I'm with Jay. I know I'm not voting for any of the top two. Sorry, guys. If you're a Trump supporter, I apologize. So actually, don't apologize. It's just the guy doesn't agree with me. Hillary Clinton doesn't. I was so upset that Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez were like helping Hillary Clinton. These are two of my people, Puerto Ricans. They were helping her out. She appeared at a Jennifer Lopez concert in Miami yesterday. And I saw the concert because I got the news alert. And here she comes out, hands held high with Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony. And we're going to talk, actually, and I just found this out about 2 seconds ago. And this is a perfect segue to end this this conversation with you guys in the first hour. Because we need to start reaching out the younger generation. The left has a fantastic plan, a fantastic way to reach out to those kids in college and high school. And we're going to talk to this amazing guy, Brett Smith. He's one of the creators of Clinton Cash, the graphic novel. And he just texted me and said, yes, Chris, I'll be with you on the top of the hour. And the reason I want to bring him on because, like I said, I asked my family, do you know who you're voting for? And, you know, my family said yes, and I'm not going to say who they're voting for, but said yes. And I said, do you know why you voted for that person? And they were like, because so-and-so. So they spit out the talking points. Guys, we need to get away from the talking points. We need to start talking about the real reason you are voting for that person. Because those talking points might not even be aligned to you after you do some deep digging on yourself. Those talking points might not even be who you are. So that's why I want you guys to start saying, I'm voting for this person after this long journey of self-finding, and say, I'm voting for this person because this, and this, not because she says she's going to close the gender gap, or not because he's going to build a wall. No, that is not a reason you're voting for that person. Because, darn it, we've been saying we're going to build a wall for a long time ago. So you can't be saying you're going to vote for that, because that has not happened at all. You need to come on with your own conclusion. That's why I'm going to close this 1 hour right now, and let's start with the second hour.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mack Worley III.
And that's right, guys. Welcome back to the second hour of On the Move Show with Mack Worley. I am not Mack Worley. I am Kris Cruz. And welcome to hour number 2. If you're just tuning in, I am Kris Cruz. I'll be your host for the next hour. We got one more hour, guys. We're going to do this. And I'm just ready to talk to you guys because this next guest is fantastic. He knows what he's saying. He knows what's missing. And you probably guys heard of the Clinton Cash book by Peter. Gosh, he's going to not like me. Swisser. Sorry, guys. He's going to be like, why you always saying my name wrong? But he actually did a adaptation of the Clinton Cash graphic novel. Now, he's going to be part of my release this starting tomorrow. I'm releasing 7 up to 8 different interviews of the information I think is important for you to know when it comes to the election. I think you need to know this information, and I'm going to give it to you. For example, like I said on the first hour, I'm going to have people from FreedomWorks, Jason Pye, from FreedomWorks. He's going to be talking about the Obamacare and the rise of your premium of Obamacare. And you're going to hear a little bit of Brett Smith when he comes here, and he's going to talk about the Clinton Cash graphic novel. Then you're going to hear about Benji Baker. He's going to talk about how college students feel that they got the shaft from these two election people, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Then, Dr. Axelrod, he knows what's coming for the next president when it comes to the debt. He's going to be talking about the debt for the future president, what he or she is going to have to do when he or she gets into office. All this, guys, is coming to you starting tomorrow via KrisCruzBlog.com. That is KrisCruz.com. And it's going to be fantastic. You guys are going to just love each and every single interview. And Mac wants to know, do you know who you're voting for? You do not have to tell me who you're voting for. We just want to know if you know who you're voting for. You could tweet it out at RC_KRIS, or you could tweet it out at Mac, which is On The Move Show. On The Move Show, and use the hashtag MacPack. I love the hashtag. It's like MacPack. And like I said, we're going to be talking about Voters Guide. We're going to talk about China versus United States and prayer and fasting that the American Family Association is actually doing. But before I get to this call, there was a really interesting clip I want to play for you guys, because we're all Second Amendment people. We all love our guns and Bibles. Well, I love my gun and my Bible. But about, I think it was a couple hours ago. Yeah, a couple hours ago. Mid-afternoon. I see this headline that says, militia group calls on members to patrol polls on election day. I don't know about this. They're called themselves the Oath Keepers, are officially a nonpartisan group, but their concerns are clearly echoed that the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, warning about rigged election, and he calls for his supporters to monitor polling places for evidence of fraud by supporters of Democratic rival Hillary Clinton. Now, I completely get it. I know why he's doing it. I know the point. I know what he's trying to get out of it. I know that ever since Donald Trump said this is a rigged election, I've done headlines because I do breaking story writing. And so I just write the headlines. I just don't write the story. I just write whatever you see hashtag breaking. That's usually me digesting something that I saw and putting it as a breaking story. So I've seen a lot. We had one in Florida. Actually, we had a couple here in Florida that did voter fraud, and we had something in Virginia also be arrested for voting fraud. So it's a serious thing, and it's something that it should be taken serious, voter fraud. But I just want you just to hear a little bit of this guy talking about monitoring, actually, take that back, patrolling polls during November 8th voting election.
This is Stuart Rhodes, the founder and president of Oath Keepers. And what this is a video tutorial from our experienced police officers to all of our guys at Oath Keepers. We're asking to go out as part of our call to action to go and hunt down, look for vote fraud and voter intimidation and document it to do the best we can to.
All right. I already have a problem with this. Hunt down. Again, it goes back to what I've been saying since hour number 1. I take people on their word. Whatever they say is how I perceive who they are. Now, if you have not seen this video, I suggest you do, because you'd be like, "Oh no, Kris, you're just being paranoid. This guy, he just means something else. He just means that we just need to be vigilant and report. See something, say something. That big fancy line that people tell us: see something, say something. No, because okay. So if you see the video of the Oath Keepers, which is a national group of former military and law enforcement officers, the guy who's speaking, this gentleman, he has an eye patch. he has an eye patch, and he's talking with the eye patch. It's just I just laugh because I think it's funny. He has this eye patch going on, and he has this big eye patch. And if you guys are seeing those airborne patches, he has one, but it doesn't say airborne. It says Oath Keepers, and oathkeepers.org. It's just really interesting because as the guy is talking, all I can focus is on his words, what he's speaking. He has digested what he's saying, and it's really interesting because this guy is talking with an eye patch. But what we're going to do right now, we're going to place a pause on this clip because I got my friend here that he's going to talk about Clinton Cash graphic novel, and like I said, I want you guys to hear him out because he has some interesting ideas on how we can reach and educate our son and daughters and our family when it comes to politics. Brett Smith, how are you, sir?
Hey, Kris, how's it going?
Not bad. I told him a little bit about your graphic novel, and guys, he is the editor, production director, and creative director of this project of the graphic novel Clinton Cash. So one of the main reasons I want to bring you on is because I want you to, the same conversation we had last week about the reason behind this graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's mainly, in the case of Clinton Cash graphic novel, we were trying to reach a wider audience. Obviously it was, the book was New York Times bestseller, and it did really well, and it sold well, but, we wanted to try and reach more people and reach people that maybe are not into politics, really all that heavy, or not into policy, kind of the casual, curious readers, as well as reach Gen Xers and millennials, because, for a lot of us, the stump speeches and the political ads and even just some of the books out there, just kind of the basic prose, is kind of boring, and I get tired of it, and a lot of it really doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, no, and it's really fascinating. The book is about 100 pages or so. Peter did an amazing job writing his book, which was a New York Times bestseller, but it was kind of long, and it just had words. It had good words in it. It explained everything. Oh, excuse me, and all the patterns and all this stuff. But the way your team was able to do this was compile all that information into 100+ pages with pictures, with satire, with comedy. Why satire and comedy?
Oh, I was really interested in kind of using a lot of the same tactics the left has used on us on the right, like via the Daily Show or Saturday Night Live. they're always lampooning us and making fun of us and mocking us. And so I was interested in turning that around and doing that back to them, because that rarely ever happens. And also, we needed some kind of a hook for the adaptation. And I knew that if we could make the book funny, even though the book is appalling and it's horrifying when you read the facts, I knew that if we could tell the truth through humor, and the best way to do that was through satire, which is the most dangerous form of humor, it would open it up to more people, because humor is a great, kind of a, it can disarm people and pull new people in who might not be interested in the first place.
Why is satire a dangerous comedy way?
Oh, because you're making fun of people. You're basically lampooning people. You're mocking them. And the left, if we know anything, the left really don't like to be mocked. They're perfectly fine mocking us on the right. And for nearly 40 years, there's really never been anyone there, really of prominence to answer that type of stuff. The right's just kind of sat on the sidelines. So it was fun to kind of give some of that back, because a lot of it can be really powerful. And when you combine Peter's all the information and just the horrifying things that are revealed in the book, with great artwork, and artwork done by guys who have 30 to 40 years working at Marvel, DC, Disney, Warner Brothers Animation. So you're getting beautiful, gorgeous artwork, really ironic and funny and witty scenes combined with all of the great information in Peter's book. I knew that it would stick in people's minds a whole lot longer, and they'd be able to understand it better and also just remember the stuff better, because a lot of it's really complex stuff, complex information.
No, it is. And, I always go back to it, and this is like, if you go to the Clinton Cash graphic novel version, one of the pages, I love this page because we know Bill does this. Back in the back of our head, we know Bill does this, and I love it because is the little quote on the top. It says, Bill's traveling buddy would just happen to have business interests pending in these countries. And you see Bill Clinton in kind of a strip club, and there's a little stripper right there. And then the guy who has a little bubble and says, with an annual yield of 1.5 tons for each metric ton, ... So, we know this is happening. It's funny because, Brett, we don't have pictures of this. We don't have a picture, like a gotcha picture of Clinton, accepting money, like straight hand, like we see in movies, just like a lump of cash. We don't see this. You guys actually paint this picture just like that. You guys have some drawings of the Clintons receiving money, receiving jewelry, receiving checks to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll remember stuff like that. It's like that panel with Bill Bill and Frank Giustra and some government bureaucrat are at a strip club, and there's a belly dancer who's dancing in front of Bill, and he's enjoying it. He's having a good time, and then Frank Giustra and the bureaucrat are sitting there talking business. He's talking about uranium, and that's the chapter called "Welcome to Kazakhstan." Now that's a great one. And Frank Giustra pops up all over the place. He's kind of Bill's right-hand man, and funny enough, Frank Giustra is one of the producers on the new Blade Runner movie, Blade Runner 2034. He is a part of a production company called Thunderbird Films, and this guy's all over the place, and he does wear a lot of caps in Clinton Cash graphic novel. He's a real pivotal role in the Clinton Foundation's expansion all across the globe, working with tyrannical autocrats and horrible dictators for speaking fees, as well as for basically kind of influence peddling, pay to play.
No, and it's really funny.
It's crazy stuff.
It's also, well, it's not funny, but it's also interesting that you guys are not only focusing on graphic novels, but you sent me a couple of clips of animated, kind of cartoonish of this book version. Tell me a little bit about those animations.
Yeah, they're kind of like little info ads. We wanted to make some little, like little commercials for the book. And so I brought in some guys that I've worked with in advertising for about 20 years, and we do storyboards for TV commercials. And then sometimes if a client wants to spend a little more money, they'll animate them. And they're just kind of basic, we call them animatics. And these two that we've made for Clinton Cash graphic novel are, one is called Quid Pro Quo, and it kind of details the pattern of the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation. And it's only a minute long, but we take the artwork from the book and we animate it. We add sound effects. We hired some really talented voiceover actors to come in and do Bill and Hillary's voice. They're really fun to watch, and they're also entertaining. And and then you're also getting informed at the same time. And that was the most important thing. I think it's to its credit why Clinton Cash graphic novel works is because it's entertaining, and there's nothing better than getting entertained while you're learning stuff, because these days it's the best way to really reach people, because there's so much information being bombarded at you and me and everybody else out there. It's hard to cut through all that noise and get your message across. So it's like, even with these, the other one that we did is called Hillary's Reset, and we talk about how Hillary, when she was Secretary of State, worked with Putin to transfer 20% of all of the U.S.'s uranium to Russia to build power plants in Iran. And we use a portion of the book where we have a couple panels where Putin and Hillary are playing poker. And again, we're using funny and satirical and kind of ironic situations in order to tell the story and also get the information across. And it's that type of imagery which will stick in people's minds.
This audience here, Mack Worley's audience, is a libertarian audience, so they align. We believe most of the same things. And we had a caller earlier talk about the Libertarian Party and why he's voting for Gary Johnson. What do you think parties like the Libertarian Party, the Independent Party that has Evan McMillan now, and us, the Conservative Party, and the Republican Party, what is it that they need to do in order to close that gap, to get those people get out and vote, just like Hillary is doing?
I think the best thing that libertarians can do, and I consider myself kind of a Kurt Russell libertarian, maybe a small L Kurt Russell libertarian, what libertarians need to do is stop putzing around with a third party. They need to do what Trump has done, which is co-opt the Republican Party. They need to infiltrate the Republican Party the same way the left, true Marxists and communists have infiltrated the Democrat Party and dragged it, they basically have, there's no more Zell Millers left. There's no more real centrists left in the Democratic Party. You kind of have left and ultra left. So I think the best thing that libertarians can do is run on the Republican ticket and hijack the party, because they have a system in place. And, to go out and recreate all that stuff is expensive. And I think the best way to do it is to do exactly what the left has done. And, we could all take a lesson from the left, where they've been successful. And there's no reason why we can't do the same thing. And it doesn't mean that we're any less virtuous, because we're on the side of freedom and liberty and fighting for the Constitution. So why not use the same type of subversion that the left has used? And that's also it's a big reason why Clinton Cash has been successful, is because it's very subversive. Republicans or people on the right are usually used to just getting books, basic prose, and stump speeches and white papers and political ads, but they're not used to getting stuff that's entertaining, funny. Once in a while you get an American Sniper or a Lone Survivor, but it just doesn't seem like we get it all too often. And I think we should be getting it as much as the left turns out entertainment, as far as the arts and media.
No, and I completely agree. Guys, you were listening to Brett Smith. He's a professional commercial artist working in the comic book industry as a color artist, a storyboard artist in the advertising industry, and a graphic artist for multiple clients. And he has also worked, like he said, in Marvel, DC Entertainment, Hasbro, Cartoon Network, and many more. Brett, how can people get in contact with you?
Kris, the other thing I was going to tell you is, I'm kind of surprised a lot of libertarians aren't taking another look at Trump, because he wants to audit the Fed, he wants to do term limits, And the other thing I heard the other day, this thing with banning lobbyists.
Oh yeah.
This is huge stuff, man. I mean, you never get 100% of what you want out of a candidate, but frankly, if I was a libertarian and I was thinking Gary Johnson, and I looked at that and I thought, wow, he wants to audit the Fed. That's Ron Paul right there, man. I mean, that's libertarianism 101. So I think people ought to, the libertarians ought to give Trump another look. He's not perfect, but it reminds me of Dark Knight Returns, which is he's like Batman. He's kind of like the hero that it's not the hero that we want, but it's like the hero that we deserve, basically. And it's certainly the hero that we deserve given the culture that we have, I think, in a lot of ways.
That is interesting. Wow. That was real. Guys, like I said, I love this guy because he talks nerd, and I love when people talk nerds in politics. He's just able to reference Batman and Donald Trump and actually paint a nice picture. No, you're right. You're right. Those people that like Batman is not a hero. He's not a hero.
He's not perfect, dude.
Yeah,
he's not perfect. He's terribly flawed.
Yeah, it's really wow, man. You just if you could see, I'm just mind blown right now, Brett. How can people actually now get in contact with you, because you might get some answers on this? So how they can find you on Twitter?
I'm at Brett R. Smith 76, and that's 2 T's, BRETTR SMITH 76.
Yeah, guys. And where can I find the book?
And just Amazon.com, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, everywhere books are sold, even comic book stores are carrying it.
Oh, really?
And if you've already got a copy, they once we went #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, they were like, we'd like to have some of those sales.
That's fantastic.
We'd like to make some of that money, which was great. I don't know how many comic book stores actually carry it, but I do know some do.
That's fantastic.
But you can get it pretty much anywhere. And if you already have a copy, buy one for a friend. Buy one for somebody who's maybe undecided or on the fence, or somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about politics, or maybe somebody who doesn't vote. A lot of the, I really believe that if Trump can pull in, even like 5% of that 50% of the country that doesn't vote, we will win, and we'll win really big. And that's kind of who I think are a lot of these people at these Trump rallies. I think they're a lot of the people that just don't really participate in politics all too much, because they don't really see anybody there that represents them, and really not until now. And that's kind of what Reagan had in the 80s. And not saying that Reagan and Trump are the same. They have some similarities, but this is a movement in a lot of the same way that Reagan had going into 1980. And Reagan was down, I think, anywhere from 6 to 8 points going into election night. So, we'll see what happens. But dude, this FBI stuff, this is crazy, man. I mean, can you believe this?
It's really interesting, because that I've been talking about the whole first hour was about the FBI opening the case. And I'm telling you guys, if you read Clinton Cash graphic novel, it fits the pattern, guys. Like, it fits the pattern of Hillary Clinton, who she is. And then all of a sudden, is all this information coming out, and all I can think of, Brett, is straight up on all I can think is like, man, what is Brett doing right now? Because this is perfect for anybody that is against Hillary Clinton. This is the best time to use this information, because this makes her look like an idiot. This makes her look like the people that surrounding herself.
Yeah.
Because how did we find out about the email? Because Anthony Weiner is sending his wiener to an underage girl, and that's how they're able to find this information. So we know now that all these people that she surrounds herself are toxic. So this is just crazy. And it goes back, like I said.
No, not. It's a great way of describing it.
Yeah,
they're toxic people.
It's toxic people. I'm telling you guys, if you grab this copy, if you're not read Clinton Cash, read Clinton Cash, or if you just want a nice synopsis of what is the Clinton machine about, go get Clinton Cash graphic novel, because you'll be able to see what kind of people they surround themselves. And I'm actually going to play for you guys both of the Hillary's resets and Clinton Cash quid pro quo. Quid pro
quo. Yeah, which is Latin for pay me off.
Pay me off. So I'm going to play both of them as I say thank you so much, Brett, for joining us, and go have fun on your date.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to play for you guys those two mini segments, videos that they did about this book and Hillary Clinton and who she really is. Check this out.
George W. Bush had his own opinion of Vladimir Putin.
I was able to get a sense of his soul.
And Hillary Clinton had her own.
Putin doesn't have a soul.
But it's important in Russia to get the last word.
The minimum head of state should have a head.
Hillary arrived in Moscow determined to improve U.S.-Russian relations.
What
is?
It's a reset button.
He's stupid, no?
Hillary was officially in Russia to negotiate Putin's plan to build nuclear plants in Iran.
I am being all in.
All in meant Russia's desire to corner the world uranium market, including Canada and the United States. All under Rosatom, Russia's government agency in charge of nuclear power and nuclear weapons. And the price for the Secretary of State's compliance? $145 million, paid to the Clinton Foundation.
Spasibo, suckers.
Read about how the Clintons auctioned U.S. policy for profit in the New York Times #1 bestseller, Clinton Cash, a graphic novel. Available now everywhere books are sold. Hillary Clinton does business with some of the worst people in the world, always for the benefit of the slush fund known as the Clinton Foundation. People like Paul Kagame, Reich Makar, Gilbert Shagori, and General Paulino Matip-Niol. A pattern of behavior emerges.
You shouldn't have.
Look what I found at our door.
The pattern begins with a poor country that's rich in natural resources. A country run by a tyrannical autocrat ready to do business. Here comes Bill with one of his friends. Bill is paid to give speeches.
Gotta pay our bills.
Hillary uses her powers to remove any obstacles. Contributions are paid to Clinton interests. As her power and influence grow, so does Hillary and Bill's bottom line. This is how the Clintons went from this...
We were dead broke.
...to overseeing an international organization worth billions.
Hello, my friend.
And very little of those billions find their way to the people the foundation professes to help.
I'll feel your pain.
Read about how the Clintons auctioned U.S. policy for profit in the New York Times #1 bestseller, Clinton Cash, a graphic novel. Available now everywhere books are sold.
That's right, guys. Go get that book, Clinton Cash, graphic novel. You just heard the two little commercials that they took out from the book, made it into an animated kind of cartoon way. It's fascinating. The words, just alone the words, and the way that they're able to capture who really Clinton is and who is the people that she surrounds herself is fantastic. So this is what you're going to do. After the program, right below, I'm going to send all the links to Mac. So he's going to check this out, and he's going to put all the links for those videos, especially those two videos. Those are the only two that they have out. And I want you guys to pick those videos up, take them from YouTube, and actually share them with friends and family. So I will send all these interviews to Matt, and it's just, Mac, it's going to be fascinating, man. I just can't wait for you to see them, because you're just going to be like, this is gold, and this is going to be fantastic, guys. And if you visit RC_KRIS, you'll see the link of where you can get this book. I'm telling you, you need this graphic novel today. Share it with friends, family, everybody. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. I'm telling you, it's just, this book actually, I don't want to say hate, but it actually made me maybe just start thinking about how can we start educating and informing people. One of the big things that Brett said on his interview with me, that's going to be airing, I think is November 1st. Yes, his interview is going to be airing November 1st via chriscruzblog.com. And you'll hear him talk of the way that we need to start reaching out to that generation. That generation is voting right now, guys. And they are voting for Clinton. Because the artists that they look up to, like Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony and Katy Perry, those people are voting for Hillary Clinton. So what is their following or doing? Well, if my hero is voting for Hillary Clinton, I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton. We need to start changing that, because it's just better. So we're going to take a quick break. so I could get some water. And I'm going to play you, of course, the commercial that Mac sends me, but I'm also going to play you the promo of what I'm doing starting tomorrow after these messages.
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, pledging my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. So help me God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mack Worley III.
That is right, guys. I'm coming down to you from Orlando, Florida. That's not the deep heart of the United States, but here is where I am. Guys, you're listening to On The Move show with Mack Worley, but Mack Worley is a little bit under the weather, so this is Cruz. Now, I promised you guys that I was gonna give you a preview of what I'm doing starting tomorrow. Guys, I've put so much effort into this, it's like not even funny. I've put about 3 weeks of work of just getting the guest to agree to come to do this special coverage that I'm doing up to Election Day. So this is what I'm doing, guys. Starting tomorrow, what's going to happen is I'm going to launch between 7 to 8 episodes of different organizations, different outstanding guests, and they're going to be given what I think is that you need to know when it comes to this election. We're going to be talking about all kinds of topics. And like I promised you, I was going to give you a sneak peek of what's happening. So this is a promo that I launched a couple days ago of what's happening in the Kris Cruz program. I hope you enjoyed this promo because I have another surprise after we come back. Hey guys, Kris Cruz here, and guess what? Starting on October 31st until November 8th, I am bringing you daily podcasts featuring guests like Jason Pye from Freedom Works, Brett Smith, Benji Baker, Dr. Alex Rod, Rob Chambers, Aaron McLean, and more guests like this. You do not want to miss my special election coverage starting on October 31st until November 8th, where we'll be talking about Clinton Cash. We'll be talking about Obamacare. We'll be talking about Voters Guide, prayer and fasting, college students and the election, China versus the United States. All the topics that are going to hit us once November 8th hit and we elect a brand new president. So I need you to tune in every day starting on October 31st. And come visit me at Spreaker.com or go hit KrisCruzBlog.com/radio. That is KrisCruzBlog.com/radio. cruzblog.com/radio for the live feed every single day starting on October 31st at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be going live with all these interviews. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this. And that's right, you do not want to miss this because this is going to start tomorrow. And guys, I know we started this hour talking about this crazy guy that wants everybody to, all the military people, to militia group calls for people to patrol polls. I think this is dangerous. We just need to be careful what we're doing, especially when it comes to other people. We do not want to come out as D-bags. We do not want to come out as D-bags. People don't like when we come out and start saying this. We're calling on our retired police officers, our military intelligence veterans, our special warfare veterans to take the lead. This is the call to action. Help stop voter fraud. Guys, this is not the way. This is not the way. We don't want to scare people off. If we have the message of freedom, if we have the message of we want to help you, we love you, we just want to be free, we just want the government to stay out of the way. This is not the proper way. You do not want to do it like this. Now, let's do a little bit segue, because one of the big issues that we had with this administration was Obamacare. Now, a lot of headlines coming out saying Obamacare premiums are to increase double digits starting next year. Like I promised you guys at the top of the show, when we started, I was going to give a sneak peek of what I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to I changed my mind. I'm going to give you the full episode. It's about 7 minutes long. Nope, 14 minutes long. And I want you guys will be the first one to hear my series that I've been working on for 3 weeks of the election coverage that I'm doing. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this. We're going to start with this. This is me interviewing Jason Pye from FreedomWorks talking about Obamacare.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Kris! I set the microphone on fire!
If I got it going on.
And it goes a little something like this.
The star of our show,
Kris.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new week of interviews. That is right, of interviews. Starting today, October 31st until November 8th, I'm going to be launching every single day new interviews that can affect the way that you vote on November 8th, because this is what it's all about. It's all about the next week, the next couple of days for you to decide who are you going to vote. But before that, we got to take a trip, because recent survey says that a projected of 24 million were supposed to sign up for Obamacare. Only 10.4, about 10.4 have subscribed to that so-called Obamacare Affordable Care Act. And guys, guess what? Starting 2017, if you have Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, your premium might rise up to 25% next year. And guess what? I even saw that Arizona is going to be raised for 114%. So for that, let's listen to President Obama as he talked about Obamacare.
That's priceless. And now you can do it for less than your cell phone bill. That's what change looks like.
And let's go to the phone lines with Jason Pye, comms director of FreedomWorks. Hey, Jason, what is going on with Obamacare? Something that me and you do not agree on.
Well, I mean, it really does appear like the law is completely unraveling. You've had three major health insurers, including Aetna and United Healthcare, withdraw from most state exchanges, if not all of them, because of poor enrollment numbers. People who too many sick people were enrolled in plans. They were using their health care. We call it utilization. They were using their health care more frequently. when they lost money on the exchanges, so they had to pull out of those states where they were losing money. And then you also have the healthcare co-ops. All but 7 of the original 23, 24 healthcare co-ops that were created under Obamacare. This was the progressive alternative or the liberal alternative to what was the single payer, the public option. All but 7 of those have folded. And now you have health insurance premiums, which conservatives have been saying that this was going to happen. Insurance premiums for the most popular plan on the healthcare exchanges, the Obamacare exchanges, is up by 25%. That's what the estimate that came out last night. So, and this is obviously just part of the problem. You have it's very clear now that that Americans are rejecting this law. You had the CBO back in, I think, 2014 estimated that about 24 million people would be enrolled in Obamacare plans by next year. As you mentioned in your opening, they're more than half under that number. It's quite shocking how Americans really have rejected it. We talk about polls on Obamacare and how unpopular it is within the polls, but the actual poll that really matters, not just public opinion polls, is the actual number of enrollments. They have fallen so far short that they can't spin their way out of this one.
No, it's really interesting to see because, like you said, a lot of conservatives, especially the big conservative, they said this is not something that Americans going to accept, and it should not be something that the government should mandate. And people are going to be, but why are you bringing FreedomWorks into this? And I'm going to ask you this, Jason. Why is FreedomWorks talking about Obamacare?
I mean, it's at the end of the day, I think what you hammered on a couple of different points here that are absolutely right. The government shouldn't be telling you to buy anything. I mean, if they can tell you to buy health care, they can tell you to eat broccoli. It's this is a matter of freedom, individual choice. If I don't want to have health care, that should be my decision. With that said, there's also aspects of this law that are very troubling from a fiscal nature, and this bill is going to contribute to the entitlement programs that we already have. And we already have something like $75 million in unfunded liabilities through Social Security and Medicare, and that's over the next 75 years. Obamacare is just going to add to it, and those estimates, by the way, are conservative estimates. Some of the larger estimates say over $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities over the next 75 years. So taxpayers will be forced to bear the brunt of this. And then we also have Obamacare making the cost of coverage that much more expensive. The 10 essential benefits, or the 10 mandated benefits that the Obama administration, its army of bureaucrats, have put in place are making health insurance that much more expensive. And insurers, to accommodate for the cost, otherwise, if they didn't accommodate for the cost by narrowing doctors' networks or creating high deductible plans, Americans would be able to afford Obamacare even with the subsidies that people get. So, I mean, to be just to be point blank honest with you, it tells you something that if you have to subsidize something, it tells you this is huge. If you have to subsidize something, it tells you how unpopular it really is. The fact that people still aren't buying these plans, that people still are skeptical of Obamacare, that insurers are having to raise premiums, and they're giving money away, taxpayer money away. They're putting the burden on us, but they're giving taxpayer money away, and people still won't sign up for it in the numbers they expected.
No, yeah, and that is key right there, Jason, because people say, oh, but the government can pay for it. And people forget, and they don't realize that government doesn't have any money. Government has no money, and they don't own anything. Yep. So when they say we're going to subsidize it, just to let you guys know, you're paying just for your health care, but you're also paying for your neighbor's health care as well. So we become this one big family that, you know what, I'm going to pay for your health care. Don't worry about it. And it's interesting because you talked about insurance company leaving the one kind of marketplace for insurance. For example, I got a couple of them here. You got Florida that started in 2014 with 8, 2015 with 10, 2016 with 7, and now they're projecting that for 2017 they're only going to be with 5. In Georgia, that's your state, Jason. Yeah. You guys are right now at 8 at 2016. But you're going to be ended with 5. So we see here a big drop. For example, Kentucky. Kentucky right now is at 7 healthcare providers. And then by 2017, only 3 are going to be participating in this Obamacare. And South Carolina, they got 3 currently. And by the beginning of 2017, they're only going to have 1 left. So that doesn't leave with a lot of of choices, like Obama said at the beginning of the show. I played clip where it said, well, you could pay your health bill less than your cell phone. Well, my cell phone, Jason, I don't know about yours, but my cell phone is only $110. It is not $202 as I could see here.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't get that. Now, what is Freedom Works doing? Because I know you guys do a lot of work organizing activists and kind of informing people.
Well, I mean, we have a lame duck session coming up. I mean, I can tell you that on the Obamacare topic, we'll be talking to members of Congress, our allied offices, members of the House Freedom Caucus, who are the most conservative members of the conference. We'll be talking to them and trying to figure out ways we can strategize on this in the upcoming next couple of months. But into the new Congress, a lot depends on what happens the next couple of weeks. I mean, the path has been laid for us to have full repeal of Obamacare. We've actually put a bill on the president's desk. We can do it through reconciliation. We can repeal the worst parts of this law. We can get rid of the individual mandate. We can get rid of the burdensome regulations that are driving up the cost of health insurance coverage. But everything really does depend on what happens the next 2 weeks. If Republicans lose the Senate, those prospects go away, unfortunately. And so that kind of underlies what the kind of dire nature of where we're going with this law. But you can expect to see Freedom Works continue to take action, continue to drive messages to our activist base of 5.7 million freedom-loving conservatives and libertarians, asking them to touch base with their member of Congress, and so we can repeal this law, and also to push through a real patient-centered alternative, one that focuses on doctor-patient relationships, that removes this big top-down, big government mandate that we have that we call Obamacare, and start and make health care and health insurance less about government mandates and more about people and people who need help.
And Jason, I just got your CEO, Adam Brandon, comment about Obamacare, and he says, Obamacare is a disaster, doubling down on the law as the President Obama has done and Hillary Clinton will continue to do, will only make these problems worse. Obamacare cannot be fixed. It must be repealed and replaced with patient-centered alternative. What is that patient-centered alternative he's talking about, Jason?
Well, there are different bills in Congress that have been introduced, and we haven't picked one of them yet. But you have the Speaker who has presented his own bill. You have the Republican Study Committee that's presented a bill, and you have Congressman Tom Price, who's chairman of the House Budget Committee, who's presented his bill. Each of the bills have their merits. Each of the bills have some drawbacks. FreedomWorks, back last year, we had our top 10 principles for reform that laid out what we believe reform should look like. You can find that on FreedomWorks website, freedomworks.org. Just by searching 10 principles for healthcare reform. It should come up. But that kind of lays out our view of everything. Things that drive regulation, for example, health insurance should not be regulated at the federal level. We should regulate it at the state level. That's an example that will reduce costs. Getting rid of a lot of insurance mandates. A lot of states have their own mandates in health insurance coverage, which drive up the cost of health insurance coverage. I think Georgia has something like 45 or 50, for example. Some are optional, some aren't. Most aren't, in fact. And then, crossing state lines to buy insurance is helpful, but it's not a panacea for the problem. But also just getting back to a more a patient-focused model where people can walk into a doctor's office and not have to ask questions about how much a procedure is going to cost. People, I think one of the problems that we have in health insurance coverage is we really don't, or in terms of the health insurance industry as well as health insurance companies, is people really don't know how much they're spending on health insurance. They get their premium taken out, but they don't ever see the bottom line bill. I went to the doctor about a month ago for a checkup, and I just basically walked out without paying anything, without doing anything, without getting a bill. The only thing I got was a prescription, and that was it.
That's awesome. And a lot of things people forget is the veterans, how failure they have been. They're on that, I rely on the veterans to get me a doctor. And last time I had to wait 6 months just to get a heartburn checked out. 6 months, guys. Yeah. And I'm a decorative veteran. It's like I had to wait 6 months. And that's one thing I don't want nobody else to, especially in the public eye. Jason, where can people get more information about FreedomWorks?
You can go to freedomworks.org. We also have Facebook pages and Twitter pages. It's at FreedomWorks on Twitter, and then Facebook.com/FreedomWorks. And you can follow me on Twitter at Pie, P as in Paul, Y as in yogurt, I guess, and E as in Edward.
That is right, guys. You need to go check out freedomworks.org. FreedomWorks is aimed to educate, build, and mobilize the largest network of activists advocating the principles of smaller government, lower taxes, free markets, personal liberty, and the rule of law. Please, 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 for more information, visit freedomworks.org. Guys, that was the exclusive interview that is going to be airing tomorrow. I am so excited that I was able to share it with you guys. As I was listening with you guys as well, I just feel goosebumps because this is something that we need to start bringing out. We need to start talking about it because one of the reasons that we lost to Obama was because we were not informed. Not a lot of people knew what was happening, and then Obama get elected a second term. We were not even more, and we were so divided. So this is why I'm doing every single day. I'm launching a new episode with people like Jason Pye. This guy works for FreedomWorks. FreedomWorks is, I love the people there. They got this libertarian mindset, and if you guys did not know about FreedomWorks, I'm so happy I was able to introduce to you guys FreedomWorks because they do a lot of work. I've actually been into their offices a couple of times. I've done interviews with Brandon, which is the CEO. I call Jason a friend of mine. We done some awesome stuff together, especially when it comes to the decriminalization and the criminalization law. And I love talking to them because they challenge my thinking just like Mack challenged my thinking. I love talking to Mack. I love when, I think it was a couple of days ago, we talked about preparedness, how prepared we were, and we talked about how who we're voting for and how I'm doing with the election, and we got talk about some personal stuff like family and work and college. And it was really interesting because Mack, we started with like a 10-minute conversation and ended with like an hour conversation because Matt challenged me. And I hope you have that person in your life, a friend, a family member that is willing to challenge your thinking, not in a rude way, in a way that you are able to stand on what you believe on. And that's one of my main goals in life. I was telling this to Mack a couple weeks ago when he called me. I see myself as the person that will give you the information that I think you need to know, but at the same time, I'm not gonna tell you just go follow me, because this is just something that I believe that if we just stop being stupid, honestly, and we're gonna close out this hour with this because this is something I'm really passionate about, and my faithful listeners, it's something that they always hear me talk about is educating yourself. I work with another agent, not administration, I'm sorry, guys. I work with another organization called American Family Association. These people were actually one of the first organizations that gave me a chance to become who I am today. A radio host, a podcaster, a breaking news writer. They saw something in me I did not see. A lot of people that have been helping me out for the last 2 years, guys. It's been 2 years now. It's been 2 years I've been doing this. Adrian, welcome. I feel like this is going to be a 3-hour show, guys, because I'm about to come with some serious thoughts today. So I feel like this is going to be a 3-hour show, and my instructor is probably listening to me. So I'm going to tell you, I know I have homework due tonight, but I feel that this is going to be a show that I need you guys to listen to because I want you guys to be well educated. We are going to be November 8th electing somebody. It's going to be either or Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. American Family Association did something for me that is really, I will always hold them to a higher standard than all the organizations I work with or they help me out, because American Family Association, they actually let me talk to a lot of their leaders, like Rob Chambers, which he's the national field director for this organization. And I've been able, anything that I need when it comes to interview, they're always there for me. And this is where I want to talk to you guys about the voter's guide. How important is the voter's guide? Because this is fascinating. And I know a lot of you have to go. Jay, thank you so much for listening. But the people that are just joining us, I'm Cruz, and I want to talk to you guys about voter's guide. And we're not going to go the full hour. We're just going to go an extra 30 minutes. So we're going to do one more segment after we end this hour. Voter's guide is really important because if you believe on being the informed voter that I want you to be, I want you to be that informed voter. A voter's guide is something that you need. Voter's guide tells you actually where the parties stand, who stands in what side, and who stands on the other side. It's really fascinating because my friends at American Family Association, they just go all out when it comes to voter's guide. They will actually draw a line on, if you believe this is the person that aligns with who you are. And it's just fascinating because you print it out. For example, let's say you do you want to print out both state and national elections voter's guide. You could print it out. You could take it. Most states would allow you to take any information that is willing to help you and help you vote. Because again, I believe an informed voter is a good voter. So when you print it out, you go and you're like, okay, so I want to vote for, let's say, Donald Trump. Why should I vote for Donald Trump? Well, the voter's guide gives you the differences between the candidates of 2016. And it breaks it down to the point of what is that Donald Trump believes in. And we don't know what Donald Trump believes in exactly, but it kind of navigates those water. And it breaks it down into six different sections. One of them is judicial appointments, immigration and border, terrorism, the U.S. Constitution and the Second Amendment, abortion, and Israel. Now, in this voter guide, it says, Mr. Trump said he will appoint a conservative judge. Donald Trump has also said judges he appoints will be pro-life. Then, on the other side of the coin, it says Mrs. Clinton is expected to appoint liberal judges and has said that she will appoint only pro-abortion judges. Now, this is for somebody that is hardcore pro-life or pro-choice. Right there, you're either or. You're either pro-life or pro-choice. I am pro-life. So according to this, I align with Donald Trump. But that's not the only thing that I align to self. It's not the same thing that I align, yes, of course, Donald Trump. But I know the backstory of Donald Trump. So if you go down the line, a voter's guide is really important because I believe that once you start getting the information, and they don't just give you the information and say, yeah, Donald Trump is pro-life, believe me. No. They said, go to page, this is citation number 1. You go into the back of the page, and you see that this was accessed on 9/21/2016. They did the research for you. This is why I think you all need to go to American Family Association website, which is afaaction.net. That is where they house the voter's guide. This is for you guys. They have done the research for you. All you have to do is literally print it out, take it with you. Now, like we said, and he says it actually on the interview, they don't know if it's, some state might say you cannot do it. Some state says you could do it. All you have to do is take a piece of paper and say, hey, this is my voter's guide. This is going to help me vote. They should understand and vote because you're not going to remember all the people, especially if you're doing the state one. There's a lot of people here. And they're able to localize it to your district and say who is running in your district. So this is really fascinating. So this is what's going to happen, guys. We're going to take like a little bit of second. We're going to start the next hour. And I'm going to take 30 more minutes from you guys. Because I believe that we need to be those informed voters. And I'm going to give you all the information that you need to know where to find and be that guy or girl that is informed when it comes to voting. So let's start this third hour. We'll see you on the other side. And like I said, guys, it's just going to take, no more than 30 minutes because I'm going to give you the information where you can find the information to be a well-informed voters. Like I said, American Family Association is a great source of a voter's guide. Now, other organizations have different voter's guide, but they're the ones that I've been using since I started doing a program 2 years ago. So another one that they have is really interesting because they have one that says how the political parties differ on 10 key issues. This is really interesting because we got a lot of issues. America has a lot of issues, and America needs to work all their issues out. And it's really interesting because America is one country that I love, and I served this country, and I just hit my 8-year mark. I did 6 years active. I've done 2 inactive. So I love this country. And we got 10 issues, 10 key issues taken directly from their official party platforms. Now, we've been kind of talking about a lot of things in this episode of On The Move Show with Mack Worley. And this is not Mack Worley. This is Kris Cruz. You can comment on Twitter at RC_KRIS. Or you could visit my website to hear my previous interviews at chriscruzblog.com. That is KRISCRUZ blog.com. And you can see everything that happens there with me. I'm a radio host and a podcast host. I'm a producer for radio and podcast. I have a long history of contributing to different organizations like the Blaze Radio Network, Red Millennial, The Audacity, and there's a couple more that I just don't remember. Anybody that wants me to write for them, I will be gladly write for them or do an episode for them. I am gladly to do that because I believe that we all need to be informed some way, somehow. And the more voices that are talking the truth, the better it is for us. Now, before I get to Adrian's comment on the chat room, there's 10 key issues that American Family Association kind of takes on, and it's human life, Planned Parenthood, judges, religious liberty, education, sex education, Obamacare, marriage, biomedical research, and Iran. Now, you might look into those. So I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick sex education. And there's a Democratic side and there's a Republican side. The Democratic side says, we recognize that quality, affordable, comprehensive health care, evidence-based sex education, and a full range of family planning services help reduce the number of unintended pregnancies. That is the Democratic side. The Republican side believes that we renew our call for replacing family planning programs for teens with sexual risk avoidance education that says abstinence until marriage as a responsible and respected standard of behavior. You should align with one of those two. Now, the Libertarian Party, you guys, because Mac audience is mainly the Libertarian audience, and that's why I always love listening to you guys. I always love calling into the to On The Move Show because you guys challenge my thinking. This is what we need to start doing, writing out what we believe on. Now, I'm going to read Adrian's comment on his take on this election. He says, I've had to evaluate my vote within the electoral system. The grassroots conservative need a fire under their butt. Leave the party or place it up, placate to the rhinos. Unfortunately, one person had the ability to make this statement. I don't want Hillary, but I know that my district will vote for Trump, while my state will vote for Hillary. If I looked up at a third party, libertarians are looking to kill themselves when they had the best possibility of making an impact. They should have gone with Peterson. Stein and the Green Party are nuttier than planters. But McMullen can actually make history by winning the state of Utah. The last time a third-party candidate did so was in 1968. Yes, he's a Mormon, and they back him most likely for those reasons. He makes the only third-party reasonable statement. I may vote for him to help his percentage along with the state so that he can win the state. It may give those who feel as though it was one difficult to leave the GOP the confidence to do so. I lived in a swing state. I've considered voting party within the party lines, but I don't. We're witnessing the new demise of the weak party. Let's help that happen. Now, I've agreed. Like Rants, which that's Adrian Slade. You can listen to him. He's actually on podcast as well. Adrian Slade, Slade, S-L-A-D-E. I agree. We actually talked about that on the first hour about Gary Johnson, and we had a caller calling actually and talk about how he believes that we should vote for Gary Johnson. And you know what? Gary Johnson, it is what it is. He's not the perfect candidate, just like Brett said, you know. And you probably missed this, Adrian, but we had a guest from the Clinton Cash, Brett Smith, one of the creators of Clinton Cash, the graphic novel, and he did an analogy and he compared this. It was really interesting because he went on down the line of Donald Trump is not perfect, but neither is Batman, and it's not the hero that we want, but it's a hero that we get and need. And I probably butcher that, so I'm gonna have you go back and listen to the podcast on the second hour, because it was really interesting interview. Because once he played that out, and I played it in my head, I was like, for a split second, guys, I was like, oh man, this makes sense. I'm like, whoa, this makes sense. For a second there, it made sense to me because it's right, you know. But at the same time, do I want to feed that whole phenomenon of lesser of two evils? Because I'm sorry, guys, I might be the only one that think this, but there's no lesser than two evils. There is no lesser than two evils on this at all. Both are evil. They're both evil. In my perspective, this is my perspective only. Both persons that are on the top of the ticket are evil. There's no lesser than two evils. So yes, I want to stop the two-party system. I agree with you. You know, Evan McMullin, he looks like the perfect. Like, he is, in my opinion, the candidate that should be running for the Libertarian Party. Straight up honest. Love Austin Peterson. I had him on my show. I think it was like 3 times. Really good guy. Solid. He used to work for FreedomWorks. So solid guy. Solid. But they missed that. You know, they could have gotten Peterson. And Evan McMullin, he came out of nowhere and he's about to take Utah from Donald Trump. That says a lot. Yes, he's getting support from the Mormons, and the state is halfway run by the Mormon Mafia, according to Louis Dubs. So yes. So it's really interesting because I want people to understand that this two-party system is no longer a two-party system. They're both the same. To be honest. One of them says, I believe in this, and one says, I don't believe in that. It's just really, really crazy for me, guys. So this is why I just want to take a little overtime with you guys, because I believe as an informed voter, you need to start doing your own thinking when it comes to this. You need to start thinking, hey, who am I going to vote for, and why am I voting for this person? Is it because of their, nice commercial, or is it because I saw them with Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony at a concert last night, or is it because Donald Trump said I'm going to grab him by the wussy, by the wussy, is that what's going to happen? No, it is. We need to start forming our own thoughts. And here's another thing. I love social media. Shoot, I go to a school that teaches me how to use social media properly. They teach me how to market myself. They teach me that technology is good for me. And this weekend, one of my friends texted me and said, hey, need you to do me a favor. You go to Netflix and watch Black Mirror. Now, I know Mac said to go watch The Walking Dead. A lot of people have been telling me to watch The Walking Dead. It doesn't fancy me anymore. The whole zombie thing doesn't do it for me. But I started watching Black Mirror. Season 1, it's okay. Season 2, wow. Season 2, episode 2. I think it was. It's called I Am Waldo. It's about this blue puppet. Actually, it's about this comedian. And it all takes place overseas in the UK area, London area. And it's really interesting because this episode was about politics. You know, if you guys don't know, our brothers and sisters overseas over the big pond, they got more than one party system. They got a lot of party system. They got one they call the Liberals. They call the Conservative. They got another one called, I don't know. They got a lot of different political parties. And the episode is season 2, episode 3. It's called The Waldo Movement. I had to go back and actually stop the show and look, when was this written, when was it filmed, and when was it released? Because I'm gonna give you a brief synopsis. It's a comedian named Jamie Slater provides the voice of Waldo, a blue cartoon bear who interviews politicians for a late-night topical satire show, where Waldo generally humiliates them. Jamie's producer, Jack Nipper, suggests that Waldo stands up as a local politician in the upcoming election against pompous Tory boy, which is Liam Moore, which is the conservative movement over there. And this is where it gets tricky. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys because you need to watch this. Because as we head to November 8th, and as I was looking at this blue bear, and I was looking how politicians were strategically moving to kind of take down the bear, and how the media started playing and feeding this Waldo movement, it reminded me of the Donald Trump movement, this Make America Great Again. It was literally looking at America. If I watched it in 2013, I would have been laughing if I watched it in 2013. I wasn't laughing last night when I watched it. I was scared because this Black Mirror episode of the Waldo movement, I saw this play out in our country. It was fascinating to see how the media use a puppet to start creating this arms and unite people and drain the swamp and create the buzz and attack politicians and attack the people that did not believe in what you believe. And once the results came out, you did not agree with those results and you did this big uproar and said it's rigged and start throwing things and destruction. It was looking at a mirror of America. Guys, I'm going to leave you with that because you need to watch Black Mirror Season 2, Episode 3. Now, the series is not a continuation series. It's each episode, it's its own thing. So just because you watch Season 2, Episode 3, it doesn't mean that you don't know what the whole purpose of the series is. Each episode, it's its own entity. I'm telling you, once you watch that, you're going to be like, oh, man. Especially us, guys. The Libertarian and the Conservatives. We are lost. And you're right, Adrian. If Cruz ran his campaign outside the GOP, I think he would have had a nice chance as well. Ted Cruz had a big movement. the Cruz crew. Like I said, I don't know which hour it was, but I was a big Cruz fan. I went all the way from Florida to Washington, D.C. to do some election coverage just with the Cruz campaign. It was fascinating. I think if Cruz would have done that, would have done how the Evan McMullin did, he would have been just like the Evan McMullin. He would have been able to create that grassroots and create those foundations. He had the foundation. He has the people. It's just, we just found out a couple months later that, Ted Cruz was playing the future game. He does not want to lose his seat on the Senate. So, I get it. I get why he did it. I guess why he didn't. He's thinking 2020. But I'm telling you guys, one of the biggest thing I will actually be like, you need to do is actually go and look at this episode on Netflix, Black Mirror, episode 3 on season 2. You're going to be like, wow, Kris was right. Guys, this is it for tonight because I feel like this is the best way to close it, to give you homework, which is a couple homework. Go listen to this podcast, first hour and the second hour if you missed it, because they have some good information there when it comes to what's happening with the Clinton emails, what's happening with voting. Like I said, as of, if you guys missed it, which I still have it here on my bed. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh. Yep, right here. As of 3 hours ago, and I printed this at 7:45. Donald Trump is now 1 point behind Clinton. Businessman Donald Trump has surged within 1 point of the Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, according to the latest poll ABC News / Washington Post. The survey released on Sunday, which is today, with a 4-way race between Clinton, Trump, Gary, and Stein. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are at 46-45. Clinton up. Libertarian Party is 4 points, and the Green Party is 2 points. In a head-to-head, Clinton gives a slightly lead, but it is 49-46. And here's the thing, guys. This whole thing was 1,160 likely voters with a plus and minus 3. So it is really close. I don't care who you vote for. Well, I do, but I don't. As long as you're voting with your conscience, as long as you're voting smartly, with what they align yourself, I am not going to judge you. I like a good voter that is well informed. So you got a couple things to do. Go watch that episode on Black Mirror on Netflix, episode 3 on season 2. Then come back here next week, guys. It's not going to be me, but it's going to be Mac. He's going to be back at 8 o'clock on Sunday, hopefully. And you listen to him on OnTheMoveShow.com or on Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. Or you can listen to him on the 405 radio, which I love them. I work with them for like about a year now. And then you can come visit me, guys. I'm on the Twitter at RC_KRIS. Or you can visit my website, KrisCruzblog.com, where I'm going to release all that information for the next 7 to 8 days. It's going to be 7 for sure. I just haven't found the 8th day content yet. But 3 weeks of work, and I'm literally giving you one episode every single day starting tomorrow. You guys heard the first episode. I gave you the exclusive. The Mac Pack got the first exclusive episode of the Kris Cruz program talking about the election coverage that I'm doing starting tomorrow, October 31st, all the way to November 8th. Every single day, I'm going to be doing some awesome interviews. And if you go to my website, KrisCruzblog.com/radio at 8 o'clock every single day, you'll be able to hear it live via Spreaker as well. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you come back and tell me if I did wrong, and tell me if you did not like me. If you did not like me, please tell me you did not like me, and say why did you not like me. Did I talk too much? Did I not bring enough information? Thank you to all my guests, like Brett Smith. Thank you to the caller, Brett Robles. It's interesting how the 2 Bretts that I know called me today. And guys, thank you for listening. Adrian, thank you so much for listening. Jay, I know you already went out to put your daughters into bed, so thank you so much. Mac, I know you were listening. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I did not let you down with my content. Guys, my content is really rough sometimes, but it's I prefer, in my opinion, I prefer that my friend slaps me in the face than a stranger. So I hope you guys consider me a friend, because I love you guys. You guys are a fantastic audience. You're well engaged. You always challenge me. And guys, one last thing I'm going to tell you guys is I love how I end my show, so I'm going to end it like this. From Orlando, Florida, this is Cruz, and till next time.